Welcome to another episode of Casual Cinephilia, where enthusiastic amateurs talk very passionately about movies. I'm Ian.
I'm Lorian, and today we are talking about Marvel's The Eternals.
Which is, I feel, not their weakest.
Mm-hmm.
Because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't put my finger on it. But it genuinely felt like they were trying to bite off way more than they can chew in a singular film.
Yeah. It felt like a trilogy squished into one movie. Yeah. And it felt an hour too long.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. No, totally. The length of it didn't bug me as much, but that's more because I've been conditioned by how god-awfully long all movies are these days.
It was only 2.5 hours long, and it still felt at least an hour too long. I checked my email in the theater.
Ooh.
And I was enjoying the movie. I liked the characters.
Yeah.
It just, it was so dense that it was like...
Well, I think...
And I didn't really like the artistic direction either very well.
Well, I think I'll go into it later on, because I've got some issues with this movie that I don't know how it could have been fixed.
Sure.
A lot of it I felt was directing choices.
Sure.
And I know Chloe Zhao is an amazing director, Academy Award winning.
Sure.
But you kind of need the Jon Favreaus. You need a popcorn director.
Yeah. There's no way to get through this much.
Marvel.
Well, not even just do Marvel. We've seen some really cool artistic stuff from Marvel, but this is a movie that is supposed to serve as the first 3 movies Iron Man got.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is supposed to serve the purpose of introducing the character, making you care about the character, and introducing what they become as a hero to push them forward. That's 3 separate movies.
Yeah.
For 10 characters.
Yeah.
And they tried to do it in 1 2.5 hour film and add a MCU larger storyline stake to the mix.
Mm-hmm. So I went and saw this with Jake.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking with him about what could have made this feel better.
Uh-huh.
And literally all of the flashbacks put together should have been movie 1 with it ending at the Aztec.
I agree.
Breaking up.
Yep.
Then it could have been them kind of living their separate lives, going through and...
like a little story. Pick a few of them, they find it all separately, they solve it together, it reintroduces them as a team.
It could have been... The second movie could have been them... It opening with the death of... oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it. Selma Hayek's character.
Yeah.
Could have opened with that. And it was them trying to figure out... Oh, by the way, spoilers for Eternals. Trying to figure out...
And probably whatever MCU we feel like spoiling.
Exactly. And them trying to figure out who it is. And then the twist ending is that it's Icarus.
Right.
And it ends with that cliffhanger that they get beaten by Icarus.
Right.
They lose to Icarus, and that's how it ends. And then the third one is them finally coming together, and then the big bad is Tiamat in the middle, and they have to, counteract Icarus and all that, and then the big earth-ending, scale of it, those stakes, are a third movie. They're an Avengers level
that's
scenario.
The problem, is they obviously couldn't have done that layout because they would have had to start in at least phase 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
To make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I get why they've tried to do it this way. It just wasn't successful.
No.
They needed to trim fat or choose a character or 2 to try and develop. They've tried to develop the whole team as individual characters.
Yeah.
And there's just too much.
Well, and it's seeing stuff like this that makes you appreciate the James Gunns.
Right.
That can do an ensemble cast. And yes, they get their individual moments, but he the team is the character,
Right.
not the individual heroes in the team.
Right.
Like, as much as I love Guardians of the Galaxy, Peter Quill isn't much of a character.
Sure.
It's his character is how he interacts with Gamora and Rocket
Right.
and Drax. Like, that's the character. And so this one tried to have too many main characters, and it just didn't work.
Yeah. It was a lot to try and remember
Yeah.
while you were watching it. And if you can't keep those details for 2.5 hours straight,
Mm-hmm.
it was like
Ajak. Her
gosh.
name was Ajak. That's
Yes.
right.
Yes. There were also just too many names to remember.
Well, and there are too many names to remember, and they're
And they
historically based, but just slightly
right.
off.
And they introduced 2 additional MCU characters in the credits.
Yeah.
Side note. I saw this the same day I was going to see a Harry Styles concert. I'm sitting there in the movie theater
3. They introduced 3.
texting my friend who I was going to the concert with. And then I look up and I'm like, what the fuck?
I think that's my biggest issue with this. When I first saw the trailers, I was like, "Oh wow, they're starting to get like big name mainstream actors in this."
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what Marvel is.
I don't even think it was the actors. I enjoyed all the
but
performances. It was just,
like,
yeah,
It felt weird to me having Angelina Jolie,
I guess.
because I see her as Angelina Jolie. I don't see her as Thena.
Sure.
You know? And Selma Hayek, like, my brain forgets Ajak, but it's Selma Hayek. You know, like...
Yeah, I think that bothered me less. I thought that all the individual performances were actually good.
Yeah.
I just, they belonged in their own movies.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have made any sense to do.
No.
It felt like they spent all of their money on their cast and their CG.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't enjoy their costume design. And it was a stylistic choice. It wasn't like we ran out of budget issue. I think it looks Halloween-y and cheap. It's like gradients on suede and micro suede and like plastic plate. And I know that's like, it's hard to do space and make it look ancient and spacey. I didn't like it at all.
Honestly, the best costume in it, I thought, was Kingo's Bollywood Icarus costume.
Yep. It was pretty great.
I thought that was great.
I love Kumail Nanjiani so much, and I really hope that this doesn't ruin his shot to be an MCU hero going forward. Because this movie did not do well by Marvel's metrics.
I mean, it did all right, but by Marvel metrics, no.
Yeah.
But Kumail Nanjiani honestly was my favorite part of this. Him and his valet were my favorite part of this movie. They were so great.
Yeah. And that's a fun concept. That could have been a movie. It has been, historically, it has been this storyline of a few movies now. And,
right.
But it's a fun one.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been done recently.
No.
I'd watch that. I mean, there's no point in making it anymore. They did the condensed 10-minute screen time version already, but...
Yeah. No, I'd watch that.
I'd watch a movie all about Angelina Jolie and the dude. I'd watch their story as a movie.
Yeah.
What happened between then and now.
See, that was, I think, my biggest issue with the movie, was that individually, the characters were well acted and intriguing, but they had no chemistry to me. And when Gilgamesh goes with Thena and says, "I'll protect her,"
thank you. Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, why?
Yep. Why does he care? Like, I had no clue that they were close.
Yeah.
And then Sprite betraying them at the end because she loved Icarus.
Her whole character was really, really left out to dry for me, because she was probably one of the ones with the most screen time.
Yeah.
And I feel like I know the least about her by far.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it just felt that plot point felt so unearned to me.
Yeah.
I didn't see any jealousy. I think there was
They had a conversation about it at one point.
No, they didn't. Kingo mentions it offhand.
Sure.
That, like, it was just like...
But that passes for a conversation in the pacing of this movie. A dialogue to and a dialogue from.
Yeah.
Cut to next story. There are 10 of them.
Yeah, and it's 100 years later. It felt a lot... Almost all of the relationships felt unearned.
Except for the one overdeveloped one. Marvel, we don't want a sex scene in your movies.
Yeah, that felt so awkward.
I was like, and it was the tamest sex scene in the history of ever. It showed above waist, no nip. It was very tame, but it was like, I'm happy with the implication, Marvel. Have her touch his chest and then cut to the next scene.
Yeah.
I don't want to see two superheroes rolling around.
Yeah.
Please.
There was obvious thrusting too.
Yes,
and it was just
I was very caught off guard.
Like,
listen, I'm 31. I'm not a prude. There is just in a Marvel movie, in this silly, weird, goofy Marvel movie.
If Iron Man movies didn't have that risque of a sex scene, why does Eternals?
It was very strange.
Yeah, no, that definitely caught me off guard.
So they did all that. Like, they were like, hey, in case you don't think we're serious about this couple being a couple, they fuck. And then when they saw each other again, they were kind of like, oh, hey, bro.
Yeah.
There was, like, no weird tension. There was none of the, like... I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I really enjoy the bones of this story and the bones of this team. I can see that this could have been cool as a property. I'm sure the comics are cool. I haven't read them.
Yeah, I've never read
them. But
I
just feel like they didn't give it the time it deserved when it could have taken that time, and then they tried to just glob it all into one movie, and that just didn't work.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that one.
Also... Did this involve the first on-screen suicide from Marvel?
Yeah, and the most on-the-fucking-nose suicide. Icarus flew into the sun. What?
I was like, huh.
And it felt so unearned, too. It was just like, oh no, I was wrong. Straight to the sun.
And if you spend time... in your own mind, breaking it down emotionally for this character, you can see how he could have gotten there, but they didn't show it to us at all.
Mm-mm.
So, but I mean, I guess good for you, bro. You were the first sex scene in Marvel and the first suicide all in the same movie.
See what it gets ya. See what it gets ya.
And I mean, I think most of me is convinced they're gonna bring him back, and he'll be like, "I didn't know, but I'm sunproof" or some shit. The next time we see the Eternals, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they didn't. How could they have? But they didn't show him actually being dead.
It was technically off screen,
but also,
so
I feel like that's the problem. They didn't show sex. There wasn't a pornographic scene. They didn't show suicide. But the intent of having the characters do these things on screen is so much further into the adult spectrum than Marvel's gone with any of their other movies. And the rest of this plot was fairly juvenile compared to a lot of Marvel's other movies.
Yeah.
It felt very strange to me.
It felt out of place.
But like I said, there's a lot of things I really enjoyed.
Yeah. What?
I'm very confused.
Yeah. I can't even give this movie a bad grade.
No.
Like, I would give it a 6, maybe a 6.5 out of 10. Like, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, the biggest complaint people have with Marvel is that they're pretty cookie cutter.
Sure.
And I get that. But the cookie cutter is a high quality.
Right, it's a really
Cookie.
good cookie cutter.
Yeah. And
This one was cookie cutter, but they threw some weird raisins in there, and it was supposed to be a sugar cookie.
it's the kind of cookie you think is chocolate chip, but you bite into
And
it
you're like,
and it's raisin.
Raisins. No, even
like-
worse than that. It's a chocolate chip cookie, but there are 2 rogue raisins floating around in there.
That perfect. And the raisins just ruin it.
Yeah.
Ah,
The
you're
raisins
so true.
make you doubt everything else you've tasted.
It's the raisins in that last bite. Oh, speaking of raisins, the CG in this movie was so good and bad
It had
at the
moments
same
of
time. Like,
it had moments of glory and moments of Veggie Tales.
like the scene where the celestial is bursting from the ocean and the head is coming up and the scale of the volcano.
Mhm.
That was one of the coolest CG things I have seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And then there was Kingo's personal airplane that looked like a PlayStation 2 cutscene. It was like, how can you do a celestial bursting through the atmosphere of a planet,
Let's
but you
also-
can't do
Let's also
like
remember
inanimate plane?
how much B-roll there is for Marvel to purchase of an actual plane flying around.
Right? They could have just recolored one of Tony Stark's planes.
Literally.
He's
yes.
got like 4 on film.
And I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah. Just change the Stark to a Kingo or whatever his name was. His
Dynasty name.
His dynasty name. But it's just, oh my gosh. That plane. Literally, you can ask Jake. I just went, huh? Like out loud in the theaters. Huh?
Yeah, it was just so many choices. And part of me is like, it's probably because this movie got massively fucked by the pandemic.
Yeah. When was this movie supposed to come out?
It's not that delayed, I want to say. I think like a half a year delayed, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm not positive, though. It's kind of hard to find original release dates that aren't... You know, there's like the conjecture charts, and then there's the confirmed dates charts, and then there's the post-pandemic, pre-pandemic, mid... So it's like,
Right.
who knows what the original one actually was. But I want to say this one isn't too delayed.
Yeah, their timeline right now is getting so wonky that I have no clue when this one was supposed to come out. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much they could have fixed, though,
Yeah.
without completely rewriting and reshooting the film.
And like I said, I didn't not enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'll probably put it on. I'll just want to make sure I have, like, a knitting project or something.
Well,
you know, like...
That's the thing. It's like, I enjoyed it, but I don't think I'm going to watch it again. Unless I'm doing another, beginning to end Marvel watch through.
Sure.
Because, like, this... I think that's it. I've said that's it, like, 9 times already. But this movie is probably one of the most important movies to the cinematic universe as a whole.
Sure. It does establish some large universal truths about the MCU.
But it was not the focus of the movie.
Yeah. Sure.
And it should have been. I don't know, like...
Yeah, you're right. It should have been a team focus, not individual character focus, because the changes made to the mythos of the MCU are more important than the individual relationships of the team at this point.
Yeah.
And then they could have delved into those relationships later. They would have had to change the storyline because it wouldn't have made sense for Icarus to be the big bad if they weren't doing the characters, but they could have done that so easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there
Have
are so
them be
many
the big
other
bad of the next movie.
external triggers
Yeah.
that could have caused them to make any number of changes to their group philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Or
I know.
even just have Ajax be it. Because it's easy enough for one character to be the Judas of the story without knowing them, Like,
Right, yeah.
huh.
Yeah. I'm torn on it. I'm genuinely torn on it.
Yep, me too. I want to see more of the characters.
Yeah, and as much as I've bitched and moaned about famous people being put into Marvel this episode, I am genuinely curious to see how they're going to do Star Fox, which is...
Well, you know,
Harry
I'll
Styles.
see it. I mean, he's a good actor. He's acted.
He was great in
Dunkirk.
Yeah, I thought he did phenomenal in Dunkirk. Wasn't much dialogue in that movie, but I mean, he's a singer. He can
kind of harder when you don't have dialogue a lot of times.
That's actually a very fair point. Fair point. I'll take that one.
Listen, I have no horse in this race. I'm obviously going to see it either way.
Yeah.
I saw him in actual concert. I'm going to see him on a Marvel movie. That is just duh.
Yeah. But like his character seems interesting to me.
Sure.
I've only read a few bits with Star Fox. You know, he's Thanos' brother that didn't get the deviant gene. Yada yada yada. Which is a plot hole. Because why didn't you fight Thanos? We only could fight deviants. It's like, well, Thanos was an Eternal with a deviant gene. Like, what? I guess we're leaving that part out of the MCU. Whatever.
It's unimportant.
But the fact that Harry Styles isn't a big blue meanie,
right? It does raise questions,
right? But whatever. We'll get there when we get there.
Yes.
I am very excited for Patton Oswalt as Pip.
I am too, but the CG was so fucking bad.
That was bad.
I mean, it was like 2008 Christmas movie bad. He came on the screen and I was like, what the hell are we doing now? And then I was like, what the hell are we doing now? What's happening? I'm so disoriented.
Seriously, though. Yeah. And
Jon Snow looks interesting, though. I'll go see Jon Snow's Marvel
The problem
movie.
is he knows nothing,
right.
Jon Snow.
That's the problem, exactly.
You know nothing. Nothing, Jon Snow. No, that storyline. So I've never read the Eternals.
No, I've never read any of the properties that they introduced or referenced.
Never
in this
read
one.
any Black Knight. The Black Knight has shown up in a couple Constantine comics that I've read. And he was cool. He's kind of like a cursed, knight and, doomed to fight.
You get to be cool, but also he's
right?
that character. That's cool. Fine. We haven't really had too much of that in the MCU yet. So
right, yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, we haven't done too much spiritual side of it. Like we like graze into it with the strange ones, and I think we're going to get deeper into it with Multiverse of Madness.
Plunging in that direction with the MCU, which great.
I'm all about it. We've explored space, we've explored Earth. Now we're doing cosmos and spiritual, and horror. So I'm excited. But the thing that got me really excited was that end credit scene with Jon Snow, and that voice that says, "I'm not sure you're ready," for that. Turns out that was Mahershala Ali, who's playing Blade.
Yes.
And I am excited for those two to team up.
Sure.
I thought the choice to cast Mahershala Ali as Blade was perfect.
He's good.
He's so good.
And I'll show up.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
I can't wait to see what Marvel does. The question is, will they push the limits? Because Blade is one of those Marvel properties that's the comic books are very R-rated. Yeah. They're kind of like the Venom things, and so I know they're not going to go R.
No, it wouldn't make sense, especially since they've introduced. I mean, they could lie and say they haven't, but especially since they've introduced the character now in a family level Marvel film.
Though it had sex scenes and suicide.
That's true. Maybe that was their way of telling us to get ready for Blade.
Hold on to your butts. But yeah, I wonder if they'll push the limits of PG-13. Which, I mean,
you can get away with a lot as long as you don't say fuck too many times.
yeah, I'm genuinely surprised with what you can get away with PG-13.
Yeah.
Strangely, less violence, though.
And they can imply as much as they want, though.
Yeah. Though, yeah, I don't know.
I think that if they find a director who is good enough at cutting at exactly the right moment,
Mm-hmm.
then they could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
It would be pretty easy to tell those stories in an artsy,
Mhm.
heavy quotes, artsy visual style
Yeah.
that would let them get away with
Well, and
the rating.
that was something that was interesting in the What If series,
Uh-huh.
the animated What If. They had the Marvel Zombies episode, and because they were
I don't
quote
think I ever
unquote,
finished that series.
you should. It's
That's what I've been told.
I
I didn't even dislike the ones I watched. I just never went back for the next one.
feel it's important.
Great.
It is important,
Then I will watch it all.
and I think it will lead into what the hell's going on in the next Spider-Man movie. So watch it before Spider-Man No Way Home.
Cool. I can just watch it tonight.
Do it. But in the Marvel Zombies
Mm-hmm.
episode, I think because they were quote unquote zombies,
Mm-hmm.
there was decapitations, characters were chopped in half,
Yeah.
vertically and horizontally.
Yep.
Like,
I think I did see that
there
episode,
was
so,
a
yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of mutilation in that, and it's still
Yeah.
considered PG.
Because it's animated.
Yeah, because it's animated. And so I wonder how they'll be able to, because Blade will be fighting vampires.
Sure. Not humans.
Not humans, monsters.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot easier to
Interesting.
dismember a robot or a
Right,
ghoul
right.
than it is a human being
That's true.
with the
That's
ratings bureau, you know? So,
Side note, did you see that for Disneyland's Halloween event, they had Zombie Cap as a character you could meet and greet?
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Super cool.
I love
They
that.
had some really fun like meet and greet characters in the park for that Oogie Boogie Bash event. They had Agatha. She would just talk shit about killing Sparky a lot.
That's awesome. She's getting her own show.
That's exciting.
Yeah. There was the Disney Plus Day a few days ago.
Yeah.
And
I've been so busy. I'm
Yeah.
in a transition period between two jobs right now, and I've been working too many hours.
yeah.
And I haven't even checked it out yet. I've seen like the Baymax trailer, and that's it.
Yeah, the two ones that, so they had one or two clips from Moon Knight, which looks
Sure.
fascinating. That's Oscar Isaac
Yes.
as Moon Knight. I'm excited about that
That's
one.
right. I love him.
But
He's
they also
good.
had some stuff from She-Hulk, which
Okay.
looks fascinating.
Remind me who's been cast in that again.
That is, I can never remember. It's Tatiana something. She's the,
Miss Laney.
yeah,
Tatiana
from
Maslany
Orphan Black.
Orphan Black. She's really great.
She is phenomenal.
That's exciting.
But the little clips they show from it show that it's a law drama,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like, do you remember the show Ally McBeal?
I remember it culturally, but never watched it.
So it was a law comedy drama,
Okay.
dramedy, but it had a lot of like fourth wall breaking reality breaks
Sure.
in it, and this has that. Like,
Okay.
like
Sure.
they never show She-Hulk's face. They show Tatiana's face in it and doing things, and she meets up with Bruce Banner in one of the clips. But then there's a clip of them in like soft focus 70s clothing over a cityscape, and Bruce Banner's just kind of looking into the distance, and Tatiana goes, "Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." Looks straight into the camera and it's like, oh, that looks like straight out of 70s TV, like cop drama.
Sure.
And it's like, I have a feeling it's going to be like not on the same level as WandaVision, but it's going to like distort the formula of TV.
Yeah. Great.
So it looks fascinating. Moon Knight with Oscar Isaac looks like a shit show in the best possible way.
Great. I'm excited about
Like,
that. Love that for him.
Oscar Isaac, in just the like 15-20 second trailer that they give him, goes through 4 different accents.
Wonderful. I'm excited.
Like, it's
I really do love that for him specifically.
yeah, like it's
very
great.
excited about that.
But yeah, and they list off probably 10 or 15 different names of shows that are coming out. And one of them
Sure.
was Agatha Harkness,
That's cool.
her own show, and I'm excited about that.
I wonder what that'll focus on. Like,
Yeah,
back or forward.
I kind
I'm
of hope
interested in a prequel.
I'm interested.
But I
in
would
a prequel.
also watch a going forward show. I don't really care. Just more Catherine Hahn, please.
So I'd be interested in a prequel, but in the comics, Agatha
Mhm.
Harkness is the person who teaches Wanda Maximoff.
Okay, so you're
Witchcraft.
thinking it will be tied into...
I hope something
I'm
happens
down
in
for
the
that, too.
multiverse of madness
Uh-huh.
where the Scarlet Witch has to be like, okay, shit just got real. I need to get control of this.
Sure.
And she goes to Agatha, and it
That'd be cool.
kind of
that'd be
becomes like
cool.
a training montage series kind
Sure.
of thing.
Sure.
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
That's my hope. My prediction is that's
And
what
then
it
she'd
is.
have so much to say at the next
Oh, yeah.
Halloween event.
And she could be so snarky the
Yeah, it would be
entire
fun.
time. Oh, it'd be great. But yeah, Marvel, if they hit their stride, this is going to be a phenomenal 3 years
Mhm.
of content coming out.
Yeah. I am a little... I mean, the whole Panini Pandemonium nonsense really did put a hitch in a lot of steps, and it has been noticeable with Marvel. Their TV stuff has been great. Their movies have been struggling more.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that they do get back in time and
Mhm.
start marching correctly again.
Yeah. Well, and other than Shang-Chi, you're right.
Yeah, Shang-Chi was great. It's now on Disney Plus.
Yes,
So
I
was excited to see that last night. Watched it right up.
I almost turned it on, and then I was like, "Oh, Lorian's coming over in like 30 minutes. I can't. I'll probably be watching that tonight.
Nice.
It's so good.
It's so
It's
good.
such a good movie. But yeah, Black Widow, good but kind of
Forgettable. Yeah.
and
I
in the
enjoyed
wrong-
watching it,
in the
but
wrong era.
yeah.
And then Eternals, good, okay,
Eternals,
but
better in my mind than when I watch it on the screen, I feel.
yeah, yeah. Also,
there's a trick to that for sure.
yeah,
It could be much worse.
fair
I
enough.
have a fondness for it, even though I'm pretty sure it wasn't very good.
Fair enough. But yeah, I don't have much more to say about the Eternals other than it's important. It should
Yeah.
be watched.
Yeah.
Whether you watch it in theaters or wait for it to come out in Disney Plus, I
Sure.
think that's your own prerogative. You have to decide whether or not you feel
Do
that
you
it's
want
worth it.
the experience of going out to the theater and sitting in a theater and doing the whole popcorn thing? If you want that experience, then this movie can be what you watch there, but I don't think the movie itself will be served by the format any more or less.
Right. And heck, a smaller screen might make that TV, that airplane look better.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, do you have any final thoughts on Eternals or the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole?
Excited about the upcoming MCU stuff, as always. It's
Mhm.
not really new.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Eternals just, it was fine. I will probably rewatch it at some point, but I'm definitely gonna want to make sure that I'm, like, cooking dinner while I do... I'm gonna
Right,
want
yeah.
an activity that I can do to keep me amused while the movie plays. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And that, some poor kid is going to be, in like 10 years,
Uh-huh.
some poor kid's going to be going through the Marvel marathon. And they're going to be left alone by their parents the entire time until that sex
Yep,
scene.
and that's when Dad
When
will walk
Dad
in and be like,
walks
what
in.
the hell have these movies been?
Oh my god, you picked the loudest thing to chew on.
Maya is here with us, as always.
I don't know if you can hear my dog gnawing on my exercise bike. Jesus. Oh my god. So yeah, I mean, it was okay.
Yeah. It was okay.
And with that,
do we know our next episode?
I think it is Last Night in Soho. I missed it in theaters, but I believe it will be coming out within like 3 or 4 days.
Excellent.
On Amazon Prime. So I'm going to catch it there. And I believe our next episode will be Last Night in Soho.
You really missed out not seeing that one in theaters.
I know.
Is it already out of theaters?
No, it's in theaters.
Okay. You just
didn't
get when there were a million showtimes.
Yeah, the only showings were 9:45 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'm an old man. I'm sleepy by 8:45.
Sure.
And by 9, my eyes are heavy. So
I'm pretty sure that's the time I started my showing at 9:45 p.m.
Fair enough. All right. So let's thank our patrons.
Jenny, Jake, Pam, and Graham.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for sticking with us through this journey. And with that, this has been another episode of Casual Cinephilia. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.